He's done it. 4. Balotelli. Aguero. Cahill. Cahill. Tim Cahill has done it again. What a goal by Tim Cahill.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Premier League Nightclub podcast. My name is Damon and with me I have not just Woody, but I also have Sammy, and we're on a Zoom call at the moment, or Facebook call, and honestly I'm struggling to keep it together already. Sammy, welcome back.
Yes! I'm here.
Woo!
I've been welcomed
Sammy,
back.
6 weeks, 6-week hiatus from the nightclub. How you doing, mate? What have you been doing?
I've been here in spirit. Well, you know, I was working for the first few weeks and then got put on leave, which was great. And since then, I've just been watching a lot of TV, in particularly Outer Banks. I found a new love interest there, as I'm sure many teenage boys have as well, if you know what I'm talking about. But apart from that, I've just been trying to keep...
You're 23 champion, you're not even a teenager anymore.
Yeah, I know, that's the problem, mate.
So, Sammy, basically what you're saying is, other than being laid off, which, sorry to hear about, nothing much has changed in your life.
Oh, no, well, I've been trying to get into a bit of the fitness, which we're doing a bit of, but, I mean, you two are doing that as well, so I've been trying to keep up with you two on that, which is a bit hard, but, no, we're going all right.
Oh, calm down, mate. You've also picked up a new skill, which you've haven't refrained from showing us for the last 25 minutes. And Sammy, would you care to enlighten everyone what that new skill is?
Are you referring to my awesome guitar playing, Woody?
Well, I'm not referring to your awesome guitar playing. It's just your guitar playing.
Your guitar playing.
Yes. I have picked up the guitar.
So, what's in the repertoire? What's the favourite song to play?
Well, it's honestly a mix between Love Story by Taylor Swift and You Should Be Sad by Halsey at the moment. I mean, two iconic...
Can I just say, before we started recording, you whipped the guitar out every time we mentioned it. You were playing tunes. You'd ask us if we wanted to hear it and then would play it before we even got the chance to answer. Now you've tightened up, you've gone all quiet, and you're acting like it's not a big deal.
What do you mean quiet? Mate,
I just
called myself an awesome guitar player. That's the opposite of being quiet.
And you got to be a dirty Sanchez operating.
Yeah, I've grown a 6-week mo. And
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks of bum fluff.
It's not that impressive, no. But I want to see how good I can get it. It's actually not doing too badly. Well, I mean, I don't think it's doing too badly.
You sort of look Hispanic, really.
Woody, if there's one thing I don't look, it's Hispanic.
Boy, no, it's not. All right, let's actually get stuck into football, I reckon. So enough of that BS ISO chat. Welcome back, Sammy, officially. Let's get stuck into some of the news that we've actually been hit with in the last few days, and that is the French League, Ligue 1, has officially been called off by the French Prime Minister after he announced that no sporting events will be held until at least September, which follows the Dutch League being called off on Monday, which Damo, we did talk about on the mini, Ep 6. What does this mean for the Premier League, really?
Oh, well, we spoke about it with the Eredivisie earlier in the week. I just feel like, again, it's the money that these broadcasters have in the UK, it's just so much different to the other leagues, and it's going to require so much more for the Premier League to be cancelled compared to these other leagues. So I think, again, although very relevant and massive for that European league, I still think that the Premier League doesn't really get affected by this decision. And as we said, Woody, June 8 looks likely for the Premier League. Sammy, your thoughts?
Well, I think, as you just said, the TV rights and them to the clubs is I'm pretty sure, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's one of their biggest revenues. So it's going to take, if obviously if the sport cancels, then there's no broadcast, which means that a significant chunk of the revenue that these clubs are going to make is going to be gone, which is going to put the pressure back onto the fans to continue to really support the clubs and the owners, because it has to come back. Otherwise, there's going to be a massive hole in every club's fund, and it's the smaller clubs that are going to get burnt more than anything.
Bang, straight off the press from
Well,
Sammy.
I did see that FIFA's, he's on fire early. FIFA's medical committee chairman, Michael, can anyone help me pronounce this last name?
To who? Hodge.
Yeah.
How do you get Hodge from there? There's a D in front of the H, mate.
Well, he says that football should not be played until at least September to limit the spread of the virus. And, you know, obviously every league we've probably come to the conclusion already that every league is going to be different in how they approach it. Some will not award anything, some will award stuff now, and some will play on come June, July. But I think we should probably just steer away from it because we talk about it every bloody episode at the moment. And what we need to talk about, other than Sam's return, is the third installment of our Aussies Uncovered segment. Woodra, do you want to, give us a little insight into who are we going to be talking to in about 15 minutes from now?
Oof. Yes, please. Very much, my man Damon. It is our third Aussies Uncovered, and that is the big bad Cam Devlin. He is the best, hands down, the best midfielder in the A-League at the moment. One of the young rising stars in Australia. Hopefully he will be able to make it to the Tokyo 2021 Olympics, which we have full confidence he'll be able to get there in the squad. But like we said, he is the best midfielder in the A-League at the moment. Absolutely huge 6 months. Came in about just before Christmas, late November, broke into the squad, left the vice-captain of the club out of the team, and now he has solidified himself into probably the best XI of the A-League. Like I've said many a time, yes, we are chatting to him thanks to Sammy's connection, actually. So this is down to Sammy being an absolute master with the connections. So yeah, it's we're all looking forward to it. We've had this in the pipeline for a few weeks now, and we're very, very excited.
Yes, we are. Absolutely. I can't wait to talk to Cam. It's a really nice lad, so it'll be great.
Sammy, this is massive for you in terms of your input into the podcast. Like,
I reckon it lifts my input from 5% to 8% of the work. What would you say?
I reckon starting it off at 5% was generous, but anyway, we'll move on.
Well, you got to remember, man. I have showed up for 30 odd weeks. I reckon.
That is true. Although it's worth noting, the last episode you appeared on, I'm pretty sure we had Steve Wraith on. So I hope it just doesn't become a thing where you just jump on when we have special guests on. You got to grind out the football talk as well. So
the problem I have with that analogy is that there has been no football. So I've just been leaving it to the smarter people than me, and then I just come on to the back.
Did you enjoy the minis?
Stuff. Yep, loved them, mate.
Yeah, sweet. I'll leave it at that. Anyway,
that's code for I didn't listen to any of them.
Well, mate, it's like you don't. It's like one of those things. You go to an actor; they don't watch their own movies. They don't watch their own stuff.
You weren't even in them, champ. So how does that apply to you, mate?
Yeah, but part of the team here, guys. Part of the team.
Backroom staff.
I listen to you two enough. I don't need to listen to you two on Spotify as well. But
alrighty, Sam. To celebrate your return, I thought we'd kick off with something that we haven't done in quite a while, to be honest. And Woody's usually the one that takes the reins here and competes with a listener that'll come on and try to outwit Woody in his knowledge of football. But Sammy, we thought we'd give you a go with your return in the Premier League Nightclub game show. All right, so Sammy, you are relatively aware of how this works?
I might need a quick refresher though, Damon.
Yeah, well, thanks, Sammy, because I was going to refresh the people anyway. We'll basically 5 rounds, 5 clues per round. You get 1 guess. If you get it wrong, the other person gets to listen to the rest of the clues. There's 2 rounds of Name That Player, 2 Name That Team, and 1 Name That Manager. Your name is your buzzer. I think I've covered all bases there, but if I haven't, I apologise in advance. Are we sort of ready to get this show on the road?
I just want to know what Damo's dollars. What are my odds of winning this versus Woody's? What am I sitting at here?
Well, actually, that's actually a good question because I must say that in the past with Woody and our listeners, we've had scorelines of 1-1, 2-1, even a 1-0, I think, at one point. And you just can't be having that. So I have made them actually a little bit easier for both of you. So I don't know if that gives Woody just a massive advantage and he's going to get it after 2 clues, or if you'll be able to nail a few. So basically, Sammy, I've got you at about $2.70, $2.60 sort of areas.
Outside.
You okay with that?
But what's Woody sitting at?
Well, I don't know the maths behind it, but it should be about, I don't know, $1.30, $1.35, shouldn't it?
That's a waste of money.
Is that about right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, we ready to get underway?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
First round, name that player. I won 1 Premier League title in my time in the Premier League. I am Dutch. I scored 95 goals in 150 appearances.
Sam.
Yes.
Is it Ruud van Nistelrooy?
It is. He's off to a flyer. Gee whiz. Alrighty, Woody looks stunned on my phone right now. Absolutely stunned. He's going to bounce back. So let's get stuck into the second round of Name That Team.
Name that team.
Yeah. We have won the top division 7 times. However, we've never won the Premier League. Our captain is English. We have a title-winning player on loan at our club at the moment. Tom Hanks is our biggest, most famous fan.
Nick, Woody.
Yes.
Is it Villa?
Yes, it is Villa.
I was actually going to say Villa. Damn it.
So
Yeah,
at 1-1, this is a good contest.
Because is it Danny Drinkwater's on loan? So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, that's the one. And of course, Jack Grealish is the captain. So yeah, sweet. All right. Name that manager. I am currently in my first season as manager at my current club. My appointment was under somewhat controversial circumstances. As a player, I played for Norwich before heading to Man United, where I won 3 league titles. Prior to the team I currently manage, I have managed many other clubs, some in the Premier League, and some of these include Birmingham, Hull City, and Sunderland.
Sam. Is it Steve Bruce?
It is Steve Bruce. The boys are on fire. And the last clue was actually, I have been described by a Premier League Nightclub special guest as someone who specialises in taking teams down and getting them promoted again. So I was actually really annoyed that you boys came in before that clue. I was pretty excited to say that. Anyway, all right, 2-1 to Sammy.
Look at me go! Look at me go!
Sam, weapon.
Round 4, name that player. I have played in the Premier League for 2 clubs. I have won 1 Premier League title. This title was won at the club I am currently still at. I am Spanish.
Sam.
I made the 2000...
Sam.
Yes.
David Villa. I mean, not David Villa, David Silva.
Both are wrong.
David Silva's won more than 1 league.
Yeah, he has. I cooked that.
He has. Woody, you got two clues to listen to here.
Yeah, sure.
I made the 2017-18 Premier League Team of the Season. Last clue, I am a defender, but I am known for my attacking and goal scoring ability.
You said he was Spanish. Yeah? You said he was Spanish.
Yes.
Did you say Team of the Season or Team of the Year?
Team of the Season. Premier League Team of the
Team
Season.
of the season.
Woody, I'll give you 10 more seconds.
I know who it is.
Well,
I know who it is. 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 I know who it is.
Alonso?
No, it's...
Yes, that is correct.
Is it actually?
Oh. Wouldn't that apply to Cesar Azpilicueta as well? Could it be either?
No, he's won many
I don't
more than
think
1 Premier League
He hasn't
title.
made the team of the season since...
He made that team of the season.
I don't think he even made it in when Chelsea last won the league.
No, it doesn't matter because Chelsea won the league in 14-15 and Azpilicueta was in that team, so he has 2 Premier League titles at least. So there you go. Mark's, so it's 2-2. This is the most intense game show we've ever had. Alrighty, last one. Name that team. We were promoted into the Premier League at the end of the 17-18 season. We lost in the semi-finals of the FA Cup last season. We currently have the most draws in the league this season. We have won 3 top division titles.
Wolves.
Yes, it is the Wolves. And
Yes! Get some!
And Woody with the comeback from 2-1 down wins it 3-2, and that was. I think I liked how I made him a little bit easier this time round. And to be honest, Sammy, that Marcus Alonso one was really directed at you, and I was expecting you to nail that one because he's somewhat your man.
Yeah, I like him. But I was thinking, I just had Cesar Azpilicueta in my head. I would. But
you said David Silva anyway.
Well, no, because
even when you
I don't know. No. He said defender after I said that.
Oh yeah, that was after. Yeah,
but I don't know why. I was just thinking of what cooked me is I heard Spanish. I heard won a Premier League title, but I just fully forgot that Man City won 3 in a row. So.
I'll tell you what, that first question, that Van Nistelrooy question, Damon, I actually thought you were going towards Van Persie because, of course, he only won one league as well with United.
Yeah, I randomly know how many goals Van Nistelrooy's scored because he's spoken about as someone who was so elite yet doesn't really get spoken about as much as he probably should for his goals.
Like
my next 2 clues,
120, I think so.
Yeah.
Next 2 clues were I went to Real Madrid after my time in the Premier League, and then the last clue was I have an icon card on FIFA. So that probably would have got over the line if you boys hadn't got it yet by that point. So without further ado, I think it is time that we head into the reason many probably clicked play on this episode, and that is to get stuck into our 3rd installment of the Aussies Uncovered segment. We've got Cam Devlin. Woody, do you want to introduce him one more time just to amp up how massive this is for the pod?
Yes, Damo, I do. And I had a bit of a ramble before, and I will have another ramble yet again. We have got Cam Devlin coming on, the best midfielder in the A-League, an absolute superstar. He's younger than us, but boy, he is better than us. Here he is, Cam Devlin. Let's get him on the line.
Let's do it.
He's described on his Wikipedia page as someone that is often considered the best midfielder of his generation. Cam, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks, boys. I'm very good. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you. So, how's isolation treating you? Because we understand that you're cooped up in the hotel. How's that going?
Yeah, it's been pretty full on, to be honest. I've been the past month or so has been a bit of a whirlwind. I obviously with the season about a month ago, the season's still going ahead. Being in Wellington and the boys flying over to Sydney to be in isolation, we're put up in little school camp like places where we still got to train and all that, and we were there for about a week or so, and then found out that the season was postponed and flew back to New Zealand because my girlfriend was there and we were going to just go in lockdown there. So we were there for 2 weeks, and then we both decided after 2 weeks that we just wanted to be with our family and needed to come home. So we flew back, and yeah, we've been in a hotel now in Sydney for 10 days and been driving each other a bit crazy, but making the most of it. FIFA's had a bit of a workout, and it's been all right so far.
Yeah, I can imagine. So with this sort of the postponement of the season, and obviously everyone being in lockdown right now, how are you expected to continue to train whilst in your hotel room, or how does that kind of work, and what have you been doing to stay fit?
Yeah, well, we've been given strength programs from our S&C, and obviously just like ball work programs from the coaching staff. But obviously, I'm a bit limited in the hotel. My dad dropped off some weights, so I've been doing a bit of upper body and lower body stuff, and we've been doing some Zoom calls with the team, with the staff involved. So I've been around the boys a bit over the phone's been good, and then I got a little hallway in my room, so I went for a 5K run yesterday. So that's been mayhem, but you just got to do what you can do, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just say, I reckon every single interview we've done with an Aussie footballer, Woody has asked if they've been playing a lot of FIFA. So I'm glad you got in before he was able to ask the question. Changes the interview structure up a little bit. But what I will ask is, do you rate yourself as a FIFA player, and have your skills improved over the time of isolation?
I don't like to say it often, but I actually do rate myself a bit as a FIFA player.
I get a load.
And I think I've improved. To be fair, I'm playing like 6 hours a day, so I'd like to think so anyway. I don't think I've got worse.
Do you play Ultimate Team? Is that your game of choice?
Yeah. I play Ultimate Team. when I came in here, I was like, what's going to kill the most time? So I started a career mode, and I've been playing that the whole time. It's just killed all the time. That's all I'm doing it for, to be fair.
Have you recruited yourself?
Yes, I have.
Mate, I'm pretty sure you got a potential of 75 on FIFA. So have you got there? Are you sticking yourself in training, like on the career mode, or what's the go?
I'm 76.
Yeah,
I signed Libby Kakachi as well. He's nearly at 80. So
there you go. Question: would it be awkward if your player requested a trade away from your club?
I'd probably sack him if you try to leave me.
So you're gonna sack yourself on your own career mode.
Yeah, to be fair, if he wants to leave, he can go.
Is it quite surreal having yourself on a video game? Like, I can't even imagine what that would be like.
No, it actually is pretty cool. I was FaceTiming my little brother yesterday because he's done the same thing.
Yeah.
And no, it is. You don't really think about it when you're playing, but then I guess when you do kind of sit back and one of your friends is kind of playing with you or something, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, surely, I'm not sure if you probably would be all over it, but you can request a pro player card for your ultimate team. Have you done that yet? From EA.
Is that the special like 99 cards you get?
Special 99 cards.
Yeah. Well, I'm spewing because last year at Sydney FC I played with Mitch Austin.
Yep.
And he's a bit of a he's pretty full on with the whole FIFA thing. He like streams himself and on that Twitch or whatever it's called. His sister worked in EA, so he gets them all the time. So he was giving me like legend cards on Ultimate Team, and then I asked him, and he said for that 99 one, and he was like, they've cut down on it, so I didn't get to get it, So I went for it,
That's so stiff.
Well, I'm steering back to actual football, and I just want to touch on where it all sort of started. And we always talk about on the pod how in 2006 it was probably that World Cup that changed the image of football in Australia forever. We all would have been about 8 or 9 years old at the time. Where did your love for football start, and was it around then, or was it earlier, after? How did it all start?
Mine's a bit of a strange one, to be honest. I grew up as a kid. I feel like most sports people just loving absolutely anything that had to do with the ball or had to do with running around. I was just always active, and I grew up in a rugby league family. Like my dad, that was his dream to play professional rugby league, so he kind of embedded that in all his my older brothers and me as I was growing up. So I was playing rugby league until I was 12. But I only started playing soccer just because I wanted to do some more sport on a Saturday. When I was 9, I think. And then when I was 10, I moved over to Canada for a year just with my family. We did a teacher exchange with another family, and they didn't have rugby league over there, so I had no choice. I had to play soccer, and I played over there. And obviously, just because it was just sport, I loved it, and I made a rep team over there. So when I came back, I had a year off footy and just played soccer, and I did start to actually get a love for the game. So probably at about 11, I started to probably fall in love with the game and actually realised, because when I was 12, I made the Sutherland rep team. So it was probably around then when I thought, I might actually have a good crack at this. And due to my height, I knew rugby league was only so limited for me. So yeah, it was probably around then. But one of my neighbours, when I was growing up, Jordan Hughes, he was football mad, soccer mad, and he was a Liverpool supporter, and I would always just be out the front with him kicking the ball, and he would never play rugby league, so we'd always just be playing soccer. And he probably had a big impact in me, doing well from the start in soccer, and why I did love it so much, and hence why I'm still a Liverpool supporter today.
Cool. There you go, Liverpool supporter. Well, we've actually got two boys here in Sam and I that did play rugby, and like you, I'm also pretty vertically challenged. I'm 5'7" as well, so rugby was never really going to work out for me. But I guess that's like an interesting segue into the next question, because you grew up playing, rugby through your juniors. When you first got into football or soccer, did you ever have any players that you sort of looked up to? Because you never really had that idolization, I guess, from a young age. When you did start playing, is there anyone you sort of look to for inspiration?
Well, someone from my neighbour who, from the start, would always talk about him and try to base his game around him was Steven Gerrard. So for me, he was probably the first soccer player, like footballer, that I ever knew, to be honest. And yeah, so he, to this day, is my favourite player. I try to base my game a bit around him. And in Australia, I kind of just, because that 2006 World Cup was a big, like you said, a big moment for Australian football, and probably did change the way that not only that we're looked at as a country from other countries, but as we, as people that love the game, look at our country itself. So that was probably a big moment. And the whole Australian team back then, which now most of them, to be fair, are all coaches, you kind of just looked up to them as a team. So there were a lot of players in there, your Timmy Cahills, your Brescianos, your Schwartzes, your players like that you kind of just looked up to as people. But my number one was Steven Gerrard.
So, yeah, obviously a few of those names that you just, reeled off, like Timmy Cahill and especially Mark Schwarzer as well, have featured a lot in the Premier League during their career. Obviously, Schwarzer had a huge career in the Premier League for, I guess, most of his years. But I guess looking at Liverpool, do you have any, favourite aspects of Liverpool, or is there anything, have you ever been to a game, or, I guess, do you have any moments for any Liverpool-based moments that sort of stick out in your memory?
I feel like, especially nowadays, but Liverpool being such a good team, I feel like Jurgen Klopp most recently instills the team the way they play. I guess it kind of reminds me a bit of myself, like an up-tempo, aggressive, free-flowing game where they're just at it for the whole 90 minutes. And I feel like that kind of resembles a bit in myself. I don't like to, they're always going into challenges and always just trying to score as many goals as they can. And me as a player, I like a game that's not slow tempo or something like that. I like it, fast paced. And so most recently, Jurgen Klopp I love him as a manager, and the way the team's playing, it obviously speaks for itself. They're so good to watch. And back when Steven Gerrard used to play, that season where I don't want to bring it up, everyone knows what he did. But that season apart, yeah, good one.
Sorry, man, I had to.
No, I'm joking. That season, apart from that one moment, probably sticks out to me a lot because I think we had a record or something for the most goals scored in the first 20 minutes or so, and it was just such a good team. There were such good players, and when it was, I think it was a bit after Torres, but Suarez and players that are obviously world class players that you just watch and you just. Yeah, just well. Class players, and you just watch and you can, because I was younger, you can only dream of, and it's still now, you can only dream of playing in the Premier League and things like that. And just watching, players like that just makes such a difference to you as an individual it's so inspirational for me personally.
I think you'd have to say that Liverpool season, probably in our lifetimes at least, we've never seen a team ride a wave of momentum as much as they did.
Yeah, but exactly right.
Someone who else has, gone with the momentum is probably yourself over the last 6 months. It's been a massive 6 months for you. Since your debut, I don't know if you know this, but no players actually had more interceptions, more tackles, touches, or passes. And you've made the A-League Team of the Week 7 out of a possible 10 times. So you've been absolutely killing it. Do you have a favourite moment or feeling on the football pitch of your career that just stands out more than any other, whether it be at Wellington or previously?
It's a good question, because there's just so many small moments that that you remember. But for me, I've got a few. So my favourite moment that I can think of, one of them is when I made my A-League debut. That was for Sydney FC in the derby. We're up 2-0 against the Wanderers, obviously, and it was at the SCG in front of, I think it was 35,000 people. And I just remember being on the bench, and it was 2-0 and we were under the pump a bit, and I was thinking, no, he's not going to put me on. And then when he called my name, it was just so surreal, to be honest. I had about 40 people there, my family and my friends in the crowd. And yeah, that was just a moment that I'll never forget. And obviously one for most footballers, scoring your first professional goal against Adelaide, that was so special. I just I'd love to go back to that feeling, just running away to the crowd and celebrate with the boys and my family after. And that was awesome. And the most recent feeling that I feel like it helped me, it changed me. And obviously, like you said, I've had the last 6 months has been different for me as a player. And it was against the Wanderers at Eden Park when I came off the bench. It was when Alex Rufer got injured, and it was real unfortunate for us. And he's a good mate of mine, so it was really unfortunate to see. And yeah, obviously he was such an important, good player for us. But for me, I just knew that, okay, well, this is my opportunity. This is what I've been waiting for, kind of thing. And when Uli De Vere scored the penalty, and I think it was at the late in the 80th minute, and we ran off to the crowd. There would have been 15,000 people, which I think was our best crowd for Wellington that season, and at Eden Park. And we ran off to the crowd, and I think that feeling has stuck by me the whole season, the whole way through the season. And that was just such a special moment for me. And yeah, I was just running away. I was so happy, and just to play a game in my preferred position. It was just such a long time coming, and I feel like when we won that game, it was like just a weight off my shoulders kind of thing.
I can definitely imagine, and obviously coming into that team from Sydney FC, where you had grown up, obviously would have been a hard decision to make the move to a new country and all that. But obviously, in the hope of more game time, and looking back now, would you have done anything differently? Like, how is it in Wellington, and how are you seeing the future for what you're going to be like in the next coming seasons?
Yeah, I feel like decisions are made because at the time you think it was the right thing to do. So for me, when I was in a bit of limbo last off-season because I didn't actually have a contract at Sydney FC, I was just Steve Corica kind of said to me to come into training and kind of work, like show me again that you're worth of a contract. So it was kind of a bit frustrating for me the whole off-season, not knowing, it was kind of the feeling, am I going to be a professional again, or like what's going to happen? And I hadn't had any contact with Uffy, knowing obviously he was coming to Wellington. And then it was just one day, I'd been on holidays. I'd kind of just been trying to get my mind off it and keep fit. And I was at the gym, and my phone rang, and obviously it was a random number. I had no idea who it was, and it was Uffy. And he kind of just said, he basically just said, "Do you want to come?" And my first instinct was just straight yes. It was, I think it was a Tuesday, and I just said yes, of course I do. Like, of course I do. And that was on a Tuesday, and then Sydney FC then came in with a contract straight away, which was just so annoying. And but I think that was the Tuesday, and I just said to Uffy straight away yes. And I think on the Friday I'd signed a 2-year deal, and I landed in Wellington that night.
How good.
That's immense.
Yeah. So like I was saying, I think that decision was kind of, yes, it was so tough. I've never lived out of home. I'm such a homeboy. I love my family, and that was so hard. But yeah, I'll never look back. I think it was obviously a decision at the time that I thought was the right one, and now after the season that I've had, I still don't know how much game time or if any I would have got at Sydney. So after the season I've had and the success we had, not only for myself but for the team, we were such a good team, such a good group of boys, and moving out of home away from football was such a good experience for me. And I don't look back on it one bit of regret. I just am just so excited for what the future holds, to be honest.
Awesome.
You brought up Uffy today. Obviously, he's your current manager at the Phoenix, and you've said before that Uffy really grew you as a player. How much do you think his influences has benefited you? Obviously, we're seeing it now, but we don't get to see, I guess, as an Australian supporter base too much behind the scenes. So, can you just sort of give us a little bit of insight into what Uffy did for your career?
Uffy's a good character. Hey, he's one of those guys that is very hard and very tough on you when you need to be. And I feel like maybe myself a bit more, just because, I've come from Sydney with him. He knows what I can do and he knows what I'm capable of. So if I'm having a bad session or having a bad game or make mistakes, I feel like he's really on me. And as a young player, I wouldn't change a thing. I feel like some people get kind of beat up if the coach is on their back. But for me, I actually thrive off it. I feel like if he's yelling at me, I'll yell back every now and again, but I just feel like it makes me want to do better because I want to prove him that I'm the right man for the job or this. But he's changed my career. He was, obviously I got my chance at Sydney FC, but in terms of a proper chance and a start and a run of games, he's the man that gave me that. So I owe him owe him so much, and the way I try to repay him is just to perform on the field and be a good person off the field. So when you're playing well, he's so good and so loving, which obviously young players need. They need the confidence to know in themselves that the coach backs them. So he's so good like that, and he's such a good coach. And yeah, for me as a midfielder himself, he had such a good career. I think he spent 7 years at Galatasaray. So that's a club that, as a kid you look up to. Wesley Sneijder's been there. They're a class club. Yeah. He spent 7 years there, and as a midfielder, he's still when he trains with us, shows us all up. He's a class act, and he's such a good man as well. So for me, I'm so thankful to have him as a mentor and as a person in my life that I can, trust and just learn off every single day. And I'm just so thankful for everything he's done for me.
Well, by the sounds of things, clearly was the correct decision to head to Wellington Phoenix, and statistically, the evidence shows it was the right move as well. But for other young players, maybe a little bit younger than yourself in their teens, if game time was an issue for a player, whether it be amateur level or professional level, what would you recommend for them? Would it be as simple as looking elsewhere, or is there more they can do to influence their, the path of their career?
Yeah, it's actually a really good question, to be honest, because it's one of those ones where obviously at Sydney FC I was so comfortable. I wasn't playing as much, but it was such a good camaraderie. You're winning every week, so it's not hard to kind of fit in. You just train as hard as you can and, wait for your opportunity. But then the other side of it is Wellington. At the start of the season, I wasn't playing as well, so it wasn't one of those ones where you just walk in and play. But you just, obviously now, you look back on it and you're like, yeah, well, obviously I got more opportunity to play. So for younger people, I would just say I feel like game time is the most important thing. But if you asked me this maybe a year ago, maybe I would say something different. But now, having had the game time, and now I just feel like I'm a completely different player to what I was, because the thing with playing youth football and, your MYL, your MPL, sort of lower levels, with younger players, that's like a younger brand of football. But then, when you're playing in the A-League or a different professional level with men, you mature so much as a player. You learn things that you can't really explain, but they're just like the little things that you'll go, oh, right, well, I'm versing men, so you can't get away with that sort of thing, or you can't do that, or you got to go harder in that challenge. It's the little tiny things that I feel like if there's an opportunity for you to go somewhere where you might not win a trophy, or you might not win player of the year or this sort of thing or whatever, but there's an opportunity for you to get game time, especially being young. Not only is it going to improve you as a player so much, but it's also in the shop market for other people to look at. If you're a player who might be better than someone else, but you've played 20 or 50 less professional games, the one that's played more games is obviously going to be a lot more attractive than the one that hasn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And obviously you took the vice captain spot when he got injured. But I just want to touch on the guy that you've played a lot of with in the midfield this season. That's Matty Steinman. Great player in his own regard. And considering he's come through the academy in Hamburg in Germany and played a fair bit in Germany, he's still young, still only 25. Do you feel as if he, and obviously we've seen it, obviously he complements your game, but how so do you think that he complements your game? And also, is there any difference in his approach? And do you find he brings a different mentality at all to the team in the midfield and yourself as well?
Yeah, I do. I don't think Marty gets the credit that he deserves, to be honest. His resume kind of speaks for itself. He's, like you said, he's played in Hamburg. He made his Bundesliga debut against Bayern Munich when Pep Guardiola was the coach. So that's kind of like another thing. It's a dream come true for all of us Australians that look on. And him coming over here, no one really knew much about him, myself included. But the approach that he brings is very calm. He's not very loud, outspoken, but I feel like his work on the field kind of speaks for itself. And like I said, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. But me playing next to him, obviously when I was coming in, making my first start and so on moving forward, I was nervous. But having him next to me, who I knew I could trust in it, he doesn't lose the ball at all, and having his presence and him helping me, saying like, "Kemi, come on, do this," like it was just so good for me knowing that I had someone like that next to me, and it made me feel at ease. And I feel like our partnership together just grew and grew and grew. And I feel like he helped my game so much by just, like I said, his presence, he's calm, he's so composed on the ball, and just makes me, looking at him on the ball, makes me feel at ease when I receive the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think he's probably developed in probably one of the best defensive midfielders in the league at the moment, or definitely top 3. And he is one man that really encapsulates what you guys play in your play style is bossing possession. Do you think that's something that really works for your game? And obviously you've thrived in it, but is that your preferred game style? Is just possession-based football?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like no player wants to be chasing the ball around for any of the game, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me personally, if we have the ball, I'm so much happier. I do feel, especially now having played a lot more games, I feel so much more comfortable and confident when I'm receiving the ball. And yeah, especially the style of play that I feel like we were playing was so, it was actually enjoyable to play in. Even if we were, you lose the ball in dangerous areas, but you're playing a brand of football where you're actually stepping out onto the pitch on the weekend, and it's actually fun. You actually look forward to it because watching on, even when I watch the games back, and we'll do a moment in a game where one that sticks out the most is the goal against Central Coast Mariners in Wellington, where I think every player on the field touched it, maybe bar our goalkeeper, and it was just so fun. And you literally walk around the pitch with a smile on your face just because you know that you're playing such an attractive, fun style of football. So yeah, for me as a player, I absolutely love it. I love having the ball as much as I love ratting around and defending. Having the ball and playing passes, and it's so much fun, and yeah, I love it.
Well, you had some kind words just now about a teammate, and a teammate of yours had some kind words about you, Stephen Taylor. He speaking of wanting possession, wanting the ball, I'll quote him here. He says he always wants the ball. This is about you. He always wants the ball, always demanding the ball, and wants to start the play for us. He's everywhere. He's like a little Kante. So first of all, I just want to ask, what's it like hearing those words? And also, are those the sort of words that are said behind closed doors, or is it just really a media thing?
No, it's Stevie Taylor's a funny guy, to be honest. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, growing up, playing FIFA or watching the Prem, he's a player that he's a household name in my opinion. I feel like he's actually he's a legend, and he's one of those guys where when I signed at Wellington, I was looking forward to meeting him, but he's just a normal lad that he's such a good character and so good for the change room. And yeah, for me to hear words like that from him, even the words that he says to me behind closed doors, just encouragement and things that I can do better is so good, and it just makes you want to just improve because a player like him that I've grown up watching on TV, with every day and learn off every day is so good. And yeah, he does joke around a bit behind closed doors in the change room about the Kante thing, but yeah, no, he's unreal, and to hear those words off him, whether he's joking or not, for me, I find it really special, to be honest.
Yeah, it's unreal to have someone like that say such nice words about you. But looking to the sort of the future now, in terms of if we ever get the season back up and running, given this sort of whole COVID situation, which we hope, is it possible for Wellington to win their first A-League title this season? And then beyond that, what are your goals for the sort of 2021? Are you looking to make the Olympic team, or where do you see yourself going?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to be asked that question, can Wellington win their first title? Because I feel like at the start of the season, people were tipping us to come last, and there were a lot of people saying that we're a basket case and things like that. And obviously the first 4 games probably showed people that maybe we were. But we were very, even from the start, we were a very young, driven, hardworking, and very close-knit team. We were all very, very close and very good mates away from football. So it was only, we weren't worried in those first 4 games. And obviously as the games went on, we kind of proved ourselves. And in my opinion, we're probably the most attractive team to watch. That's just my opinion. And I feel like, yes, I do feel like we could have won the grand final. Obviously there's some tough teams up there. Obviously Sydney are very good, and they're however many points clear, so they're a good team. Perth were very tough when we versed them, and obviously Melbourne City are are up ahead of us at the moment. But we do feel like as a group, 100%, especially as of late, towards the end of whenever it got postponed, that we did have the belief that we could have gone all the way and done something special. That's why I feel like we were so disappointed when it got on hold, especially after we made the trip to Sydney, to isolate away from our families and everything. That was so disappointing. And yeah, for me personally, going into the future, the Olympics, like you just mentioned, is probably been a dream of mine for probably since the last Olympics, so probably 3 years ago or 4 years ago. So that's a dream that I really want to fulfill. I obviously didn't make the qualifying team, and I haven't been in any camps, but I feel like just hopefully the season gets back and with more games, and hopefully I can just prove myself to be the right man for a position on that team, would be, a dream come true. If I get to put an Australian jersey on again any day, no matter what level you're representing, it's probably a dream for any kid growing up. So yeah, that's a big goal of mine. And another goal was I just want the season to start. I love playing football. I love playing for Wellington and under Uffy with the group we got. So I just want to get back to playing and like I said, do something special with the good team we have.
Cool. We've spoken on this podcast a little bit recently about the conundrum for young Aussie footballers, and we've got some great talent here in Australia that play on home soil, but on the other hand, we do have quite a few that venture off overseas at a young age, just as our previous guests have. Now, don't worry, we're not asking you here if you're going to have a big money move to the UK in a couple of months, but from a player growth perspective, with the end goal to be competing in major tournaments for the Socceroos, do you have a view on how, say, 16 to 23-year-olds should be approaching their club football paths?
Yeah, it's a question that there, in my opinion, isn't really a right answer, because like you said, there's players that go over at 10, there's players that go over at 18, and there's players that, like Aaron Moy, probably the best Socceroo, that go over at 25. So there's probably no spot on answer, but for me, even when I was playing youth league football for Sydney FC, I think it was a bit over two years ago. My goal was always to make a name for myself in Australia in the A-League and then venture on overseas. But that's just me, because I obviously was 20 years old and hadn't gone overseas yet. So my goal for myself that I'd always set myself was to make a name for myself in the A-League, because I feel like if you can do it in the A-League and prove yourself in the A-League, then you'll get the opportunity to go overseas. So that's me personally. But then obviously, if you ask someone else, they're going to say, I can go over as young as you can because you've got more opportunities, better facilities, this and that. But I just feel like if you're a good enough player and you've got a good enough attitude's the main thing. If you've got a good enough attitude and you're willing to do that extra 1%er and work harder than the guy next to you and do everything that you possibly can do to put yourself in the best position to be the best you can be, then whatever path you take will lead you to the path of the end goal, which is representing your country and playing in the Prem.
We've seen some of probably the best Australian footballers come out of the Premier League. So we look at the likes of Aaron Moy, of course, Matty Ryan, even back way when it was happening, early 2000s, late 90s with Mark Bosnich as well. He started off at Sydney. But I guess, the Premier League is always such a huge thing to get into. And as we are a Premier League podcast, we like to ask a few quirky questions about the Premier League as well. And of course, in the footballing word, no doubt you would have kept up with the league and what Liverpool are doing. So we'll get stuck into a few quirky ones. First one is, can you give us your ideal Premier League five-a-side team? And it has to include a keeper.
It's actually funny. I had to do a Wellington, the medium guy asked me for my all-time five-a-side 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it wasn't a current. I'll give you my current Prem would be. I'd have Allison in goals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Allison or Edison. I think I'd have Allison in goals. He's world class in my opinion. My centre back speaks for himself. Van Dijk.
Yeah. Are you picking three more Liverpool players as well? Or?
Yeah. Hey, they're pretty good, those two. No, I'd have De Bruyne in midfield with Mane.
Yep.
Oh, yep.
And then up top, who would I have up top? Maybe Aguero
Oof.
Nice.
or Harry Kane.
Are you going to choose? You're going to give us one. Aguero or Kane?
Aguero.
Aguero. Nice. As a deadly looking team. I was going to say if you chose Harry Kane, he might walk off injured. I don't know. But yeah, a very, very strong team. Bloody expensive, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. They're not cheap these days.
So, just out of curiosity, what is that all-time Premier League team?
No, it wasn't Prem. It was all time. Just anything.
All time.
And I had Oliver Kahn in goals just because he was an animal. And then Cannavaro was my centre back.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Stevie G,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Messi, and R9.
Nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
That was my one.
Question: This is a huge debate, and would love to get your opinion here. Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi. Nah, actually, you know what? I've come around a bit. If 2 years ago I would have said Messi, but I agree with a lot of people that just say they're just so different. You can't really. Messi's just such a naturally. Yeah, it is. Messi's just a freak of nature. He's a naturally just gifted, probably the most gifted player we'll ever see. And then Ronaldo. The reason I like Ronaldo so much is he's the definition of hard work, and that's kind of what I base my game on. So that's why I've come around a bit more because I love Ronaldo now, and I've just got nothing but respect for the both of them. I think they're both just freaks.
For sure.
Good way to look at it.
All right. Continuing with the Premier League questions, if you could have a 2 to 3 hour sit-down dinner with one current Premier League player, who would it be and why?
One current Premier League player. Who would it be? Oh, there's too many.
This one
stumps everybody.
Who would I sit down with? Who's a six? Actually, no.
Paul Pogba would be a load of fun, I'm sure.
Who?
Paul Pogba.
Paul Pogba?
He's a ledge.
He's a world-class idiot.
I'll tell you who I'd sit down with. This is a random one, but I just love him. Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Because he's young, so I feel like I'd be able to base a lot of my stuff around what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like he's, in my opinion, the best right back in the world. So it's a bit random, but I'd sit down with him just because he's a Liverpool through and through, and I feel like he'd have a lot of advice, being a young player, to give to me to become better.
Fair enough. And just finally, who is the most famous person you currently have in your contacts?
Oh, for God's sake. Let me have a look.
You won't have to call him or anything. Just wondering.
Yeah, don't worry. We're not going to stitch you up.
Well, I don't know who you'd class more out of Stephen Taylor, Ninko, Sim De Jong. I don't know who you'd call more.
That's some big names. I'm happy to take all of them as the answer, to be honest.
In foreigners, put one of those, and then probably Aussies. I don't know, Roski.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to give him a call in air and just...
Hey, if I give Stephen Taylor one, that would be the funniest thing in the world.
Give it a whack. Where's he? We're still... No.
Alrighty, Woody. All I can say is this is probably the first time we've spoken to an established A-League player, both on this podcast and probably in our lives in general.
So you're the most famous person I've got on my phone. So
hey, I'm not famous at all.
Oh, come on, mate. Anyone that's pulling home A-League Player of the Month, mate, you're pretty large. I'm not going to lie.
All I can say is when you do become massive, just remember the Premier League Nightclub.
Hey, I will. 100% I will.
Cool.
Hey, you can be our official A-League ambassador if you want. Alrighty, Cam. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure and a half. I Hope isolation treats you well for the rest, and you and your girlfriend don't tear each other's hairs out.
Oh, too late. I made her a Monopoly before. We haven't spoke since.
Defining moment in all relationships. But thank you very much, Cam.
No worries, boys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That was good fun.
Awesome.
All
See
the
you,
best.
mate.
Anytime, boys. See you later. Have a good one.
Well, boys, I think it's safe to say that was a very, very memorable episode. So I will accept your thank yous right now for getting that sorted for you.
Shut up, Sam. Mate, I'm not copping that. He
I'm waiting.
was a byproduct of all the hard work of Damon and I, and you've come along and just said, boys, here's a platter. Here's a platter with a brand new guest on it, and we made that into an absolutely unbelievable interview. So
yeah, that's what I do, man. I just give you gold on silver platters. All you have to do is just use it.
To be fair, I must admit, Woody, I spoke to you last week or 2 weeks ago about how I potentially tighten up a little during the interviews, but to be fair, I feel like I improved on that particular interview, and it was because of, for one, Sammy's presence. It just makes everyone a little bit more up and about. You'd have to agree with that, Woody. Would you say?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think.
Well, I take the pressure off you two because everyone sees me as the idiot of the three. So you guys look a lot better when I'm on.
I mean, you are an idiot, but I think if I think we've said this before, but us three, we're really, when you put us together, we're like an Oreo. Damon, we are the structure on the outside, and Sammy's just the goodness on the inside.
The smudge.
The smudge. the unhealthy, sugary bit. That's Sam. So yeah,
but it's required.
Yeah,
it's a required sugary bit.
But you shouldn't eat too much of it.
So basically,
exactly.
I think the moral of this is we're changing our name to the Premier League Oreo. And that's where we'll go from now on. So
Share was alright. We need to steer the conversation somewhere else before this gets weird. Woodruff, you and me have been smashing out episodes week to week, sometimes twice a week for probably a good month now. Of course, no football on, but things have sort of going to change a little bit in the near future to at least, perhaps June 8th. That's the magical date we keep talking about. So, Woodrow, tell people what's the initial plan for now and moving forward?
Well, I guess, Damon, the initial plan would be just to, take it as it comes and see sort of how the season is going to be planned to be continued and how it's going to unfold, because at the end of the day, I don't think that it's really something that viewers want to hear is football content every week when there's no football coming out. So I guess we're sort of proposing, and we'd love to hear feedback from everyone that's listening as well. Would you be open to or accept, fortnightly podcasts or maybe once every few weeks and maybe a special guest every now and then?
It might be worth just putting an Instagram poll out.
You reckon?
Just put an Instagram poll out and we can gauge your guys' opinion if you want us to keep posting, or if you're happy for a less regular post, or even if you're even still listening. It'll be really good to get some just an input. So if you see that story pop up, please let us know what you're doing by way of the options.
That's not a bad call at all, because Woody was very, very pleased with the reception we got on the midweek PL Nightclub quiz on the Instagram. People seem to really rate that. So that might be a weekly thing, regardless of whether a pod comes out or not. But yeah, with that, similar to the quiz, we'll maybe put up a poll and give us your response. How much Premier League Nightclub content do you want in your ears?
Yeah, I think that's a good plan, because definitely I think by maybe engagements alone, we saw hundreds and hundreds of people take part in our Instagram quiz, and we know that if we get the same reception for this poll, that will give us a very clear direction of where we need to go in the next few weeks.
Sweet. And if they want to hit us up on the Insta, Woody, if they missed the first quiz, where can they find us?
You can find us on Insta at Premier League Nightclub. And Damon, where can you find us on the Twitter?
You can find us on the Twitter at PL Nightclub. And Sammy, can you search us anywhere else?
No. Wait, hang on.
You can search us on the Facebook.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't listening. I was thinking about something else. I thought you guys were talking about my TikTok idea again. But no, Facebook.
No.
Premier League Nightclub on Facebook, guys.
Sweet, and we will be there. All right, until next time, boys. It's been a
Wait,
pleasure to speak to you.
I got one last shout out. Just
All right.
shout out to the real person that got helped us get Cam on today, and that's his cousin Jake. So if you're listening, Jake, thank you for that. He told me to give you a shout out, so I had to do it.
Absolutely.
Nah,
on
fair
you,
shout,
Jakey
very
boy.
fair shout.
Love your work, mate. Thanks for keeping Sammy in check at work as well.
Yeah, he is also my boss, so better give that a shout.
Alrighty, cool. Lads, I'm out of here. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Sammy. Woody, as always, as well. Whether I see you boys next week or next month, I look forward to it.
Yes, boys. Thank you very much. Love your work, Sammy. Enjoyed having you back. And again, thank you for everyone listening. Thank you for boogieing at the Premier League Nightclub. See you guys.